We are here at the Frost Bank Center, a building that was built on venue tax dollars more than 2 decades ago and that is now at the center of a major venue tax election on this November 4th ballot, where voters are being asked to approve a major reboot of this facility and other county owned East Side venues to create a stock show and rodeo venue with year round Western theme events. Tonight, we're going to talk about some of those pieces of that East Side 2.0 that you might have heard about and some that you might not. But I'm joined by this great group who's going to help us spell it all out. I have on the stage James Nortey, CEO of the San Antonio for Growth on the East Side, Rena Oden, Rena Oden of the community nonprofit advocacy group Cops Metro Alliance, and Cody Davenport, CEO of the San Antonio Rodeo. County Manager David Smith was supposed to be with us tonight and he couldn't make it, but I think that is going to be actually even better because we have heard so much from county leaders in the past couple of days. We know that they're excited about what they think is on the verge of happening for the East Side, but I think what we really all wanted to get to the bottom of is whether the East Side shares that vision for itself and whether they're feeling optimistic that this $192.8 million investment in a year-round rodeo venue is truly going to bring about the change that they are expecting, whether year-round rodeo events and amenities that are suited to them will also be good for locals, and if they feel like they've been included in this conversation, and if not, where are the opportunities to still do that? So we're going to get to all of those things, but first, I wanted to give you each a chance to sort of introduce yourself, talk about your role and what you do on the East Side, and why you do it.
Wonderful. Mind if I jump and get started?
Go for it.
Well, thank you, Andrea, and thank you to this report. Very grateful for the opportunity to be here on the stage, especially with our very talented group of panelists. My name is James Nortey, and in my role, I serve as CEO for SAGE, San Antonio for Growth on the East Side. Our mission is to promote the economic development and cultural vitality of our East Side. For us, we do this through economic development in the form of small business support, through preserving our culture and our heritage, and by guiding growth in a way that is in favor of development, but without displacement. It's all important to us.
Wow. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, the report. My name is Rena Oden. I'm with Cops Metro, Communities Organized for Public Service. And Cops Metro is an organization that was founded over 50 years ago. And this Sunday, we're going to celebrate our 50th anniversary at the Henry B. Convention Center. We've been mobilizing and organizing all over San Antonio for that entire time. You know, the model for Cops Metro has been replicated all over the country, the UK and Germany. So we have a proud history and heritage. Again, my name is Rena Oden. I'm here to talk about the growth of the East Side, not under the moniker of SAGE, but I am thoroughly interested in East Side growth. Been all over San Antonio since 1993. I have vested interest here. I have 3 grandchildren growing up in the city of San Antonio, and working for them gets me up in the morning. Thank you.
Good to be here as well. My name is Cody Davenport. I am the CEO of the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. We're actually where we're sitting right now. We have been here since 1949. The land was originally given over to the county by Joe and Harry Freeman. So we are actually residing from where we very started. We have always resided on the East Side. We've always called this home. And you guys probably witnessed everything that's taken place recently. We always intend to call this as our home. I'm very proud to represent close to 7,000 volunteers that come down here and help us put on our stock show and rodeo. We are a 501c nonprofit. And quite frankly, our mission is the youth of Texas and education. And that's what we work year round to make sure that we can take care of that. I'm proud to say that last year we had over $12 million given out to the youth of Texas, but probably just importantly, not just to talk about dollars and numbers, but to talk about the platforms that we build inside of our organization for the youth to come in here and get a chance to come to their Super Bowl essentially in February and show off the projects and all different things that they have been working on year round, and the education that takes place in those type of environments and the platforms that we work in. But it's good to be here with you guys. I know I've worked with y'all some before, and I appreciate being able to represent our show inside of here tonight.
Thank you all for being here. So, a little background on sort of how we got here. We're just closing in on this November 4th election, which would be Proposition A and Proposition B, funding from the county venue tax for the Spurs Arena downtown and for these East Side renovations. How we got here, the Spurs asked the county for help to move downtown, and the county leaders said, "Okay, we're going to need a plan for the East Side before we commit this venue tax dollars." They studied what was needed to renovate these East Side venues and came up with a plan for what they thought was possible, subtracted that from the venue tax capacity, and that is how we arrived at Proposition A, $192 million for East Side venues, and Proposition B, $311 million for the Spurs Arena downtown. This all happened what felt like really quickly to us, and the county determined that the stock show and rodeo was their best shot at a new anchor tenant that could not only make these buildings self-sustaining, but bring about the change anticipated when the Spurs first moved to the East Side, but never arrived. Our first question, we're maybe a couple days off of getting the first polling on Prop A and Prop B, and it showed that the Proposition A changes for the East Side were actually ahead of Proposition A, 44% in favor to 41% opposed in the UTSA poll, while the Spurs Arena was underwater, 40% in favor to 45% opposing. Did it surprise you guys to see that voters seemed more excited about the East Side changes than the Spurs Arena?
Not at all. And just to speak directly to it, the rodeo has been grounded in the East Side and the work they do. People get excited every February. So, in part, I think that is a reflection of one, the rodeo and what it's done, and two, wanting to make sure that something happens here. What's probably not as clear is that what happens if Prop A passes and Prop B doesn't. That's not been clarified. In 2003, the city and the Spurs and nearby neighborhoods invested a lot of time for planning for economic development for what could happen here. They put in that time hoping they'd be heard, and those plans haven't materialized. There are real concerns in our community about, here we go again. Fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice. Well, no, I'm going to learn. And so it is on the city and on the Spurs to demonstrate what will be different this time. And I think because of that reason, there's a real reluctance to get excited about passing another proposition.
So I'm not surprised, although I don't want to jump out there and start making any re- um, any guesstimates about how things are going to play out. But the East Side definitely deserves an opportunity to thrive. The East Siders want to thrive, and we think that the community should have an opportunity to say what that is, what that looks like.
Well, I was pleasantly surprised. But no, I mean, surprised somewhat, but I think that we've spent many, many years down here working in this environment down here and hopefully earning trust in our actions. It wasn't like we just rolled out and said, hey, here's a vision of rodeo down here. I mean, we've been down here a very long time practicing what we preach. So I hope that was reflected inside of the polls. You know, we talk about the East Side, and we are the East Side. You know, the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo, this is our home. Again, I go back to, we've been here since 1949. We are proud East Siders here. And we want as much as anybody to see development and success down here. It helps our production. I run a rodeo, guys. I'm not a politician. I'm not going to try to pretend to be something that I'm not. I'm not some big developer. I run a rodeo. But for the success of our rodeo here, the development on the East Side and the success of our immediate community, we're in it, man. It's as important to us as well that takes place around here. We love it here. We love it here. And that's why I went to the county judge immediately when the Spurs came and said, we're leaving. I mean, the next day, without a plan, guys, I went to the judge and I said, the rodeo will never leave the East Side as long as you will have us. You know, I need your support for us to do this because I'm a nonprofit and I've got to go now tell my board what I just committed to. But we will never leave the East Side, Judge, and you can put that in print. And they did the next day.
Was it truly that quick of a you went there without a huge plan in mind? Because it seems like at this point a lot is hinging on the success of you bringing these year-round visitors and the development that's expected to come from that.
I say that I didn't have a plan. Not 100% correct. When I work at county officials, they want a blueprint. They want all written out in detail, something like that. Okay, here, let's face the facts. I work in the Western industry. I travel all over the nation. From Calgary to Vegas to all these. But that's part of my job is to go out and work inside of our industry. So this whole time, I'm out watching these outreach programs with youth. I'm watching the development around. I'm seeing all these things out there, and I come back home. And I come home to this asphalt jungle and these metal buildings out here that's not welcoming at all. And then I've got this three-way partnership that we have to work in down here between the Spurs, the county, and the rodeo, and I'm bound. And then I have people calling saying, hey, we would like to bring this event down to San Antonio. We want to come to San Antonio. I'm like, I can't because I don't have these grounds and I'm locked in this contract. I can't do anything. So I'm constantly turning away people. So the plan was here, but I also was working with a lot of, and I get it, this is what I do. So it makes sense to me. But when you go to people that are not in, I'm going to quit using the word rodeo because it's overused. When I go to people that are not associated with the Western industry, it can be a little bit, what? How? And then when they would travel with us, like I took Judge Sakai to all these places around the nation, and you could see the light go off. He's like, I see it now. I see what happens in this industry. I see how they travel. I see how long they stay. I could go on and bore you all to tears about what I reference a different type of client that comes in and watches a concert or watches a basketball game versus the type person that comes down that travels down to compete here that is stuck here for 3 days because I trapped them in the type of competitive event we built. They have to stay for 3 days. They need somewhere to eat. They need somewhere to sleep. And again, I am not a developer, so I don't want this spun on me. But what I am starting to recognize, and people like that will recognize, is what we do in February. That type of client that comes in, that stays here, comes from out of town, and has money that they want to spend because they've got to eat and sleep. And there's nothing in this immediate area. And our economic impacts show how we're filling the hotels closest to us, all that kind of stuff. If you take what we're doing in February and that type of client, we can help my home here. We can help the East Side by keeping them in on a regular basis.
We're going to get to some of the stuff about who would be coming and what the overlap is there. But the renderings for Project Marvel at this point, we've seen those for about a year. And on the East Side, there are some renderings. We've seen what it might look like to have a county fair, but far less sort of painting the picture. Do you guys think that is helpful, unhelpful when you're selling this? We listened to former city manager Lori Houston talk about sort of the years of work that went into painting a picture of what could happen downtown that is sort of cut both ways. People felt left out of the conversation, but they do have a picture of what it could look like. You don't really have that on the East Side. Is that good? Do people feel like there's more room for input to be gathered, or do you worry that people aren't seeing the whole vision of what's possible here?
So when we first saw that rendering, some of the things that came to our mind were, whose idea was this? Did the community help develop this? Where's that bridge going to? This is public dollars.
And you're talking about Project Marvel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Public dollars. And so with public dollars, we have and will continue to defend the use of public dollars for public good. So where's the public input? Hopeful that before renderings are drafted up, there's going to be some more public input that is in the open and largely from the community that it will serve.
May I respond? Because I know you're looking at me. And I get it. I have nothing to do with Project Marvel.
Sorry, and this question is about whether you think that the
Yeah.
east side is benefiting or not benefiting from having the same sort of
No,
picture
and I
drawn?
definitely answer that. I just want to go on record as San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. We honed in on the east side and our protection of protecting these grounds here. That's where I was. I have not had anything to do with Project Marvel. I said in a meeting when they talked about it and it was so over my head that I walked out in a blaze, but I have not been in that side of it. Now, I can speak on behalf of the San Antonio Stock Show to Project Marvel. We don't as well understand enough about it. We don't know the details of it. We don't know the renderings. We don't know the moving parts, and it's a separate issue. What I'm here talking about is you've got Proposition A, which is the east side and the rodeo. I can talk in depth about that. That's my passion and belief. You have Proposition B, which is the funding for the arena for the Spurs downtown. And then you got this Project Marvel thing out there in all of it too. So I will say, I'll go on record saying, obviously I'm in favor of Proposition A, the east side and the rodeo. Proposition B, yes, the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo would like to see the Spurs have an arena downtown, but I also need them to move.
Well, and so without a comparable sort of rendering of what it all is going to look like on the east side, do you feel like people are getting the full vision of what is being presented for the east side is really the question I'm getting at here?
Sure. And I have tried desperately. I've been, I don't know how many town halls, meetings, podcasts, everything to show all those renderings that we have down here on the grounds, explain them in detail. I've had people rolling it out of my offices. I know I've been to homeowners associations here, doing presentations. I have been an open policy to explain down to if they want to go into the weeds on to the square foot of usage of buildings and visions, inside of here. That's my baby, and I will go into great detail on it at any point.
Let me jump in because I think speaking for the rodeo's renderings have been helpful. And because we have a relationship, Cody's always said, James, if you have an idea, let me hear it. Let me take it in. Generally speaking, renderings are great to get a sense of what someone is talking about. But I do think the city made an error because renderings should just be a first step of a draft. It is incumbent to always listen, to have input, have it be iterative. In this instance with Project Marvel, you have the downtown cityscape overshadowing what was St. Paul Square, which is historic, essentially the Black Wall Street for San Antonio. You had a massive land bridge that didn't quite come to scale. And so it set expectations. And then in those plans, you have a phase A or phase one that's focused downtown. And then you don't have anything stated for up to 6 to 15 years. You're communicating to the east side, we may not see any development until 15 years. I do think that can be a mistake because that means we're locked out of the same economic development and it's not showing how input informed future renderings.
Okay, I regret bringing the words Project Marvel into this conversation, but we're going to come at this another way.
Andrea, could I just jump in
Sure.
right there? It's hard to separate Project Marvel because the rodeo is hitched to Project Marvel. The arena is hitched to Project Marvel. And the city pitched it as Project Marvel. And because it didn't catch fire or it didn't catch on very well, then the idea of separating things out became the nuance. Well, how do you separate them out now?
May I?
Yeah, of course.
I would like to share another perspective. When the Spurs said they were leaving, the rodeo stepped forward and said, "We'll stay on these grounds and we'll protect it." May I, please? Mm-hmm. When the Spurs said they were leaving, the rodeo stepped forward and said that they would take over and protect these grounds. And I asked the very question. I go, "I'm taking care of the rodeo. What happens with all this other mess that goes down?" Proposition A separated. I said, "Judge, I need to know that my rodeo's going forward with this plan because the Spurs are gone. The contract's going to expire in 32. They've already said they're gone. One way or another, how they dictate it goes is up to us. But the county and the east side needs to be protected going forward." So I told the judge, I said, if I'm going to go out in public forums and I'm going to make these promises on behalf of the rodeo and I'm going to do all these things out there, I need to know that we go forward and all this other messes falls how it falls. And I will say that I was given the Prop A goes forward, our plan goes forward. Now, it's going to be messy. I'm not going to lie. If the Spurs don't go and I have to wait until their contract expires, we figure out what happens there, all these different dynamics, then we don't get to start building and moving forward on our plan, and it will be messy. But Prop A is isolated and separated, so these east side grounds can be respected and taken care of, and we no longer at the mercy of all these things that you're talking about. We need to protect this place, and it was isolated for that very purpose so that we could present a plan to protect our home here.
Um, Proposition A's $191.8 million renovations to the east side facilities is in theory just the starting point for larger developments to come when this area is attracting more overnight visitors for rodeo year-round events. In fact, the Coliseum Advisory Board is seeking proposals for a master planner to come up with a vision for, to quote, transform the property along Houston Street and Frostbank Center Drive into a world-class mixed-use district, a more vibrant urban destination integrating residential, commercial, and entertainment and public facilities. The request for qualification shows that not only the Frostbank Center and Freeman Coliseum are on this map, but also the city-owned Willow Springs Golf Course and the area around the Coca-Cola plant off of Commerce Street. This comes as the city of San Antonio is working to proactively change some of the zoning in that land from heavy industrial to commercially mixed and residential. It seems like in some ways this is the real opportunity for change that some residents have been looking for, and the RFQ mentions that the planners would be responsible for collecting public input. Based on what you've heard from the community, what would be the top priorities that such a master planner would need to take into account?
Stop me if you've heard this before, Andrea, but we've heard this before. And so the first thing I would want is that master planner to actually review the past plans from 2003 to 2025, whether it be the city's SA Tomorrow Eastside District Plan or Commissioner Calvert's Town Hall. But we overplan to death the East Side and we never implement what's on the shelves. And so I think it's always a good idea to plan, to have an idea of focus. But for the community, there's a weariness of here comes a new consultant, a new developer who's going to show us these shiny renderings and then is going to say they're listening to us, show us something that doesn't reflect what we said, and then go off. And so the first thing we need is a true listener who can demonstrate an iterative process of here's what you said, here's why it can or cannot. The second thing is to actually implement what's already been asked for. More restaurants, more retails, green spaces for the families that are here, improved infrastructure. These are the basics that pockets of our town have had for decades. And the East Side has wanted. Sage was founded in 1998 because it was sensed that we weren't able to get that same sense of San Antonio that everyone wants. We already know we want the same quality of life. We just need the will to implement that plan.
You guys want to take that one? What priorities would that master planner be taking into account based on what you've heard from the community?
I think listening is the first thing. Listening is the first thing. And, you know, the last thing that James said, the will to implement.
And I concur with both those. I think listening is critical. I will tell you, the rodeo has not seen this so-called master plan. And we're going to be a critical play inside of that. And somebody's going to need to listen to us if they think that's going to work. So I suggest it gets in front of us. Secondly, I as well, like most people around here, am tired of hearing about master grandiose plans. I'm tired of promises. I'm tired of somebody waving a banner out there. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and we end up with nothing. I think that as a business that we need to take a much more organic and natural approach. And what I mean by that is you let the rodeo come in and do what we have been doing every year in February. Let us expand that. Let us prove that the type of people I'm talking about are coming from every county in the state of Texas, just like they do in February. Let me prove they're staying down here an average of 3 days. They need places to go. Let's build that. And then let's be realistic about what we're doing. And let's recognize the simple fact that we have Union Pacific to our west that binds us in to neighborhoods. So we're not going to go that direction. We go to the south, we have industrial, we have Coca-Cola, and so like, okay, maybe we can strike a deal with somebody over there, but let's face it, it's industrial. You go to the north, that's us, and we're industrial. And I understand that there's zoning things going on, trying to change to get us out of industrial, but it takes more than that. You can change the zoning, but you need the people to support the businesses for the businesses to come in. So this grandiose, let's do a master plan, let's do all this zoning, let's look at me, I did all these great things. That doesn't bring you business. What brings you business is the client, the people, the traction that we can bring down here. Now let's be realistic. And I tout this every, and you can help me with this, James. So can you. That golf course to the east of us, before I get you hit over the head with a 9-iron by the golfers out there, I'm not talking about taking the golf course. I'm talking about that beautiful frontage strip all along that thing. Can you visualize if the city of San Antonio would work a deal somewhere at y'all's levels, above my level, but work a deal where we can do a public-private partnership in there where the city is winning by leasing that, like we're witnessing in Calgary and all these places, and the business people out there recognizing the traction that is happening down here, and then they come to us. And we're not out there rolling out these grandiose plans. They're coming to us saying, I want to put something there. I want to do this. Now you're looking off to the east and you've got this beautiful green belt and golf course. You're looking this way and you've got finally an identity down here on these grounds and people to support that. Now we're winning for the east side. And no more, dreams and grandiose BS. Let's get down and really make it happen. And those are the nice, slow traction steps of how you build things.
It's not even Sunday and he's preaching.
So much of what we've heard about what would be different this time involves exactly the type of patrons that you're talking about, people who come and stay for several days. Do you see a world in which there is indeed overlap between the amenities that appeal to traveling rodeo and 4-H competitors and current residents of the East Side? We've heard something about a East Side JW Marriott thrown out the gate. That seems like maybe kind of a high price point of like, are these the types of amenities that would like follow rodeos attendees also going to be appealing to local residents?
I'm not positive I understand the question. I apologize.
If the development never came because people came for a game and they left in 2 hours, and then the new development that comes in is built around people who are staying for 3 days with their horse, is that the stuff that locals will use too?
Did the locals will?
Yeah. Yes.
I think
The restaurants and things that you were talking
I
about.
think it goes back to what I said. The locals are going to embrace the development. That's what they've been asking for forever. That's what they deserve. The locals are going to embrace that aspect of it. I've laid out the blueprint of the type of people that come in that will support that. It's like a little domino effect. We bring the people, the right type of people, not someone like just going to drive in and go to a Spurs game and go home and sleep in their own bed, or maybe eat somewhere on the way down, but not down here. The type of people that want to stay in this area like that. The dominoes fall. You bring in the right type of people, then the development can follow that because they recognize the right type of people. A little bit of help from our city, and we're offering up a good partnership. And yes, then the residents around here are winning. That's when you create the jobs and the values and all these things that follow. It feeds into each other. Now, at some point, I hope you ask me about youth because that's what I do. Yes, I'm going way off into development stuff because I do believe in this.
Let me
But I
let
want to
these
talk about
guys
the
take
youth in
that
this
first.
area.
So in our listening, we've heard residents talk about being able to have a movie theater or a decent restaurant in their area, a main event type of environment, places where they can have a few hours of respite or a few hours of entertainment before they go back to the grind of every day. And so, having that development that Cody talks about and James, the restaurants, they could stay in their own neighborhood rather than having to go, let's say, on the north side for a decent restaurant. So it's important that the east side is developed in that way so that staying at home is just as attractive as it is traveling 30, 45 minutes across the city. And yes, if we build it, they will come. Is that the moniker we've heard before? Yeah. Okay. I think that we can use that when it comes to putting the right type of amenities on this side of town. People travel all over San Antonio to go to where they want to go.
I want to answer your question, but I want to tweak it because even if it's not built, they are coming. This panel is titled "What's Next for the East Side." We are seeing insane amounts of growth to the extent where you have developments of what's happening at the Rodeo and Velocity, Texas on Houston Street in terms of biomedical and military. But even two major hospitals, University Health and Baptist, have installed new clinics in the air because they see the rooftops. The concern for the community is that growth is going to come regardless, but the amenities won't reflect their culture, their lifestyles, their community. And so we're cautiously optimistic. We do think there's a great opportunity with the rodeo, but there is some concern about, well, who is this for? Is it for the people who live on the east side of San Antonio, or is it for someone else? That's the outstanding question.
Okay, yeah, I think that's where we're getting at here. And Mr. Norte, you've expressed a desire for a plan to avoid displacement. How should the county approach that? Is it about making sure that some of the new units in this that would come along with this master development are affordable, or is it more about keeping people in their homes and addressing rising property valuations if more development does come?
I always believe that there is no such thing as a silver bullet be all end all solution. It has to be a silver buckshot. And I hate to use violent imagery, but that captures it. That one, I would start at the income and addition to the cost of housing, thinking through which employers are we attracting to the area, specifically to the east side, not just downtown. But then working with our transportation agencies, how are we including via the Silver Line in a few years is going to come right through Houston and Commerce Street in ways that we have an opportunity to look at how are we expediting transportation, knowing that so many of our poorest zip codes on the west side and on the east side are right there along those lines. If we're not able to connect where people live to where people work, we're not really tackling poverty in an honest manner. And so at the outset, I don't think it's as simple as the county doing it alone. It is not as simple as a easy bumper sticker solution. It has to be comprehensive and it has to involve the private sector. They have to be at the table thinking through a 30-year plan more so than a 3-year plan.
And I'll come back to you, Mr. Davenport. I know you're thinking that aside from the businesses that come along with this, you've got some ideas from amenities that would be a part of the rodeo that you think this community could benefit from as well for youth.
Yeah, 100%. You open a can of worms now.
Give us your 90-second pitch on this.
I don't have one. No, I'll try to be brief. Again, the rodeo's been here a very long time. And I think that when I came in as CEO, I replaced a older regime, if you will. And I think that my team, one of the first things we did is we sat down and we said, agriculture has changed. The community that we live in here has changed, and we have changed, and we need to embrace that and figure it out. So we went in and we started figuring out, first of all, how do I get the kids in the immediate area and non-traditional ag kids? Because we've done a wonderful job. I mentioned every county in the state of Texas comes to our show in February. We've done a wonderful job across the state, and I commend our show. Where we have not done a tremendous job is adapting with the times in our immediate area. And that's where we began 6 years ago, approximately. Lots of things. We went into our competitive events. And we said, drop this FFA 4-H barrier that you have to be involved in those to get in these competitive events. We need to go to STEM programs. We need to go to the schools and stop all these barriers so that I can get kids in this area to be able to come here and compete in these things like robotics and speech and things that are non-traditional. I want these kids in this area to own this rodeo and make it theirs. I would love to take credit for all that. My friends in Calgary taught me a lot of this. So we began dropping all of those barriers. Then I said, okay, what about the kids that have zero interest in agriculture or any of those events? What about my ROTC and my band groups and stuff like that? We've had some wonderful experiences with our homeowners associations in the area. We met Sam Houston's, band director over there, and inside of there, he's like, Cody, my kids don't get to travel like a lot of the other groups do, and I want them to experience that. I go, awesome. Bring your kids to the rodeo, and I will find a spot for them. We believe in competition. We believe in earning things. Bring them to me. You're already competitors because you want to go out there and compete and band and stuff. You already got that vibe. Bring them to me, and we're going to find ways to earn. So I started going out dropping these third parties that are out there that don't even care about us, the rodeo, anything, East Side, any of that. They roll in here and I'm writing them checks on our operational stuff. And we started inserting youth nonprofits at our, you probably, if y'all have come, seen them. They're at the front gates welcoming you in. Welcome to San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. Here's what's happening today. Those I watched those band kids, ROTC kids stuff, embrace it, start calling it their rodeo. You know, welcome to my rodeo today. Here's what we have going on. And then we can turn around and we're taking money that I used to send out and I'm keeping it here. And we're able to turn around and fund these youth nonprofits that really don't have your traditional ag program, but they own the rodeo and we're able to help them pursue their dreams, stuff like that. And one last thing, I'm still under 90 seconds.
Mhm.
We are kicking in doors. For those that are not in ag industry, I want you to realize this is a big, big deal. There are 4-H chapters out there across all your rural areas, and those 4-H chapters, they bring the kids in, and they teach them things they might like archery, horseback riding, you know, various things like that. They teach them this, so they have a club to go to, after school activities that are wholesome for them to compete in and learn in and do stuff like that. And then we're the Super Bowl in February, but there's also regional things that they can compete in. We are the first stock show and rodeo that is developing its own chartered 4-H program that will reside right here on these grounds. And I have the best, because my volunteers are the best in the industry to teach these kids these different things. And they now, right here, can walk over here. We will pick them up, whatever it takes to take kids in this immediate area and allow them to have the exact same experiences and quite possibly higher level of training inside of these things than many of the peers out there in the rural areas. Why do we want that? I want them to learn how to compete. I want them to have a passion. I dream of being able to find ways to execute scholarships to them, whatever their pursuits in life are, be able to fund those pursuits so that we're producing better citizens right here. Again, my friends in Calgary have opened our eyes to a lot of these things. It's not something I'm just dreaming of. It's happening out there and we can do it.
Our entire staff is pitching a travel trip to Calgary to see this. Calgary. um, Commissioner Tommy Calvert, who represents the East Side, did some of his own public input sessions. I thought it was interesting that you mentioned that as sort of this is the East Side's vision, is that what he captured this time and had been done before that too. But some of the ideas that residents put in that book were more green space, local businesses, a hospital, a new school. What would it take to get from Prop A, just this first piece that is rodeo focused, to that broader vision?
In this instance, I think you would need a mix of things happening at the same time. I think it starts with the infrastructure. It is hard for some of these things to be put in place. For example, part of our school population is moving out further east and west from the core, which makes it harder to attract families and harder for employees to come in if we can't even have the basic ability to have smooth, safe roads. Those all provide incentives. And so some of this is on the city, some of this is on the county, some of this is on the intersection of all of it with the private sector. So in terms of thinking through the commitment to repair, working with lighting, safety, and then thinking through, I don't know how many times I've gone down Houston or Commerce Street to be stuck behind the Union Pacific Rail, sometimes for as long as 30 minutes. That's not anything we can do about, but it affects economic development. All these things work in tandem. When I think about, we have some wonderful grocery stores on our East Side area, but there's still a perception of a discrepancy between what the East Side grocery stores look like compared to other sides. And so it's that our residents will even drive 5, 6 miles to the other side of town because there's a perception that that grocery store has fresher produce than my local one on the East Side. All these factors combined create a perception that makes it harder to have economic development. It is tackling all of these at the same time.
I, for the longest, have had that perception about the grocery stores. I've experienced that. Bad produce, meat not in the best of shape, food deserts. So I would just lean back and just utter two suggestions. Imagination and the will to execute. Eastsiders know what they want and what they need. Imagination and the will to execute.
Gonna take a stab at that?
Above my pay grade.
Ms. Oden, Cops Metro Alliance has a, you are, like the San Antonio report, you are a nonprofit. The San Antonio report does not advocate for any of these propositions on the ballot. We don't get involved in elections, but you guys have a PAC that did get involved in Proposition A and Proposition B, opposing Proposition B, the Spurs Arena, but didn't take that same stance on Proposition A. Could you explain sort of how those two projects are different and how y'all got there?
Sure. We sat with Cody and his team, and we listened to the ideas that were floating around in Cody's head. And they made sense for the community, if that's what the community wants, right? So we're not gonna oppose that. It seems as though that would be public money for public good. You know, that's money for the people, directly for the people. So we wouldn't necessarily have to have or want to have an opinion on that. Prop B, though, we came out very strongly December the 8th of last year against Prop B, in that is public money and it's not for public good. The city of San Antonio and all of these different levels of funding this project will not be able to grow from the funds that will be generated in and around this arena. All of the revenue streams, as it stands right now, will go back to the team. But there's $800 million on the front side of this deal. And if you start looking at all of the other monies that will, you know, bond money that's going to be needed in order to build build up the infrastructure, none of that is going to help San Antonio at large. It's going to help D1, but what about 2 through 10? Bond money, that's tax money. And then all of the revenue in the TERS and in the PFZ, the project finance zone, the tax increment reinvestment zone, all of those funds will not hit the general fund so that our neighborhoods can be taken care of.
We talked a little bit about what happens if one passes and not the other, but we didn't talk about what happens if Prop B passes and Prop A doesn't. What does that do to the rodeo? Would you consider another city?
Well, we don't accept that B passes and A doesn't. So, no, I'm kidding. We're not going anywhere. I mean, we're the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. And we always have been and we always will be. And I go back to this as our home. We're staying here. This is our home. I hope the community will support us. I hope we've proven in all these years that we're real. And when we say we're going to do something, we do. But at the end of the day, we're not going anywhere. And we also will strategize and find ways to make it work. We will adapt to whatever is delivered to us. That's how we are. And we will continue to reside here as Eastsiders. This will be our home. And we will find ways to grow. Do I have the answers for you right now? No, I don't. But I can promise you that we will stay here and we will find a way to grow.
Growth, what happens? I hope our community leaders take the initiative to interpret the result and listen to what does this mean, regardless if A passes or fails, if B passes or fails, the community is speaking through votes, and it's incumbent to listen and not just go back to the drawing board and say we're going to put it back on a May ballot without any additional input.
I think my publisher is giving me the wrap it up sign. So, do we have time for one more question, or are we okay? In your briefest of the briefest way possible, give us your vision for what the East Side would look like in 20 years.
Well, at Sage, we already have a vision. We see the East Side as a community of opportunity where everyone, and we mean everyone, whether you've lived here for 5 generations or if you got here 5 minutes ago, can live, work, play, and pray with dignity without fear. We want that as an East Side for everyone.
So I would say that a thriving community like the other communities in San Antonio would be my vision.
They cut you off. So sad.
Oh, where the people decide what that looks like.
Well, my vision's real crystal clear. I see an identity down here. I see grounds in a vibrant area that has an identity. I see my neighbors embracing this identity. I see their kids growing up with us, and I watch them grow and watch them go out into society. And I embrace this thing that we've been doing since 1949 at a much larger scale. That I have the voices in the community involved with us to carry this forward, and I can see it crystal clear. I can see the people down here, why they want to be here, and I can see my East Side neighbors reaping the rewards of it.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you guys for being here. I learned some things that I didn't know tonight. Hope you guys did too. I'm going to turn it over to our publisher, Angie Mock.
What a great panel discussion. Thank you so much to our panelists and our moderator, the amazing Andrea Drusch. The San Antonio report is dedicated to local news and election coverage. And events like this are a reflection of our commitment to grassroots community discussions. Our voter guide is up on our site. It's a nonpartisan, very thorough voter guide. We, as a nonprofit newsroom, do not tell people how to vote. Our mission is to simply inform the voters of San Antonio about the issues and make you well informed when you go to the polls. And we appreciate so much the Spurs Sports and Entertainment for hosting this lovely event tonight. We record all these events we do throughout the community. We record them and put them up on our YouTube channel. So this event, all of what you heard tonight, will be up on our YouTube channel tomorrow or tomorrow. Lee says, our editor says tomorrow. So please go and share this important, critical conversation with these incredible community leaders and get the word out about what's happening on the East Side. What's next for the East Side, we hope, is absolute prosperity. Thank you.